flash of fire in the sky. At the exact moment, the Mariner disappeared from Navy radar screens.
But the plane is made of largely aluminum. Would that show up?
It will show up on the sonar, but it won't show up on the magnetometer.
The target that they've got looks like it's 20 feet long, okay, about this wide, and maybe up above the surface about this much.
If successful, we will once and for all be able to answer the question of what happened to those planes. If not, we will once again be left to ponder the extraordinary fate of the men who flew them. Could it be, as some suggest, that the Bermuda Triangle lies at a cosmic crossroads where ordinary rules of time and space don't apply? Is it possible that submerged remnants of an advanced civilization still haunt this vast expanse of ocean? Look into the faces of the missing. Imagine them as they once were, flesh and blood, as alive as you and I. Where are they now? Though it has been 60 years, each left loved ones behind who remember the day they disappeared as if it were yesterday.
But he was one of the taller ones, I think, in the family, and slim and very debonair, and the girls all were crazy about him.
And 22-year-old Donald Arsenault is just as crazy about the girls. Practically every letter he sends home to Lafayette, Louisiana, contains pictures of him with young women. On the evening of December 5th, 1945, his big sister, Aline, herself a Navy wave stationed in Washington, sits down to write Donald a letter.
Dear Donald, I haven't been able
to... What Aline doesn't know is that at that very moment, her brother Donald, stationed in Florida as a radar man on this Martin Mariner, is about to fly into the history books. The Mariner, with Donald Arsenault and 12 other crewmen on board, is headed east on an emergency rescue mission to look for 5 Navy Avengers that are presumed down somewhere in what is now called the Bermuda Triangle. They are never heard from again.
But I remember, my daddy getting the telegram, and I think we were all really upset because we were looking forward to him coming home.
For 4 days, the Navy combs the ocean surface with ships and planes, searching for some sign of Donald Arsenault's Mariner or the 5 missing Avengers.
I think we heard on the news that it was probably the largest rescue mission since Amelia Earhart.
But the Navy finds nothing, not a life jacket or a raft, or even so much as a paper cup. It is assumed that something, perhaps a careless smoker on the gas-laden aircraft, caused the Mariner to explode. Why then was no wreckage found? Without finding debris of any kind, how could anyone know for sure? It was here in this empty patch of ocean, about 25 miles off the Florida coast, that the Gaines Mills reported finding the oil slick after witnessing the flash in the sky that night. They marked the coordinates, and that's where we began our search for the missing Mariner and her crew. Our expedition will be the first ever to look beneath the waves for clues of what happened to the Mariner.
You need to head southwest, Rick.
Our leader is David Bright.
That'll get us down to the first mark line.
A hard-nosed scientist who believes that what goes up must come down.
There were 2 big, beautiful Pratt & Whitney engines, and they would have sank like stones.
By dragging a side-scan sonar and a magnetometer over the bottom, 80 feet below, in a carefully calibrated search pattern around the Mariner's last coordinates, our team is confident of finding a long-lost piece of history.
If anything's there, we're going to find it. We've got the magnetometer running, measuring the Earth's magnetic field. Anything that's made of iron or steel, we'll pick up.
But if history is any guide, locating the Mariner will not be easy. Some estimate as many as 1,000 boats and planes have disappeared here without a trace, claiming as many as 8,000 victims along the way. Among them, the crew of the USS Cyclops in 1918.
Simply vanished without trace. 309 men gone. And no evidence that a lot of sailors turned up anywhere that there had been a mutiny.
The freighter Marine Sulphur Queen in 1963, and the Sylvia Asa in 1976.
Whatever those ships encountered, it was just incredibly destructive and obliterated them without survivors.
In 1980, the freighter Poet, also gone without a trace.
520-foot ship carrying nothing more dangerous than number 2 yellow corn. Disappeared north of Bermuda, no EPIRB signal.
Some dismiss these disappearances as likely due to human error in an age before we had high-tech satellite equipment. But the fact is, vessels disappear in the triangle with disturbing frequency, without warning, and without a trace.
Boats still disappear, probably 12 to 20 per year. 2000, 2001, 2 sister ships vanished in the Caribbean.
The U.S. Coast Guard in Miami is keenly aware of the perils of the vast open ocean that makes up the Bermuda Triangle. This one station alone is responsible for 20% of the nation's search and rescue missions.
The Coast Guard doesn't subscribe to the myth of the Bermuda Triangle. The ocean is an unforgiving environment. If you make a mistake, you will pay for it. And there's any number of factors that contribute to the losses of aircraft or vessel in this or any other part of the oceans.
But according to historians like Quizar, human error alone cannot explain all the Triangle's bizarre disappearances.
The area and the enigma is quite real. More ships and planes do vanish. They vanish for very unusual reasons in some cases.
In 1978, a small charter plane flying from Fort Lauderdale to Havana disappears from radar. In 1954, a special Navy flight carrying 44 passengers and crew to the Azores vanishes. The cargo manifest lists 111 life vests and 5 life rafts on board.
It's a luggage flight. There's no debris. That goes on frequently enough.
Even Charles Lindbergh reportedly has a close call in the Triangle. In 1928, 1 year after flying solo across the Atlantic, Lindbergh takes off for a night flight from Havana to St. Louis. According to published accounts of that flight, somewhere over the Florida Straits, Lindbergh's compass begins spinning, and by the time the sun comes up, he is way off course and headed out to sea. Down on the ocean surface, our expedition is getting its first taste of Triangle treachery as well.
How close are we?
While trying to get our divers in position over a promising target, Captain Eric Smith sees something he's never seen in all his years at sea.
I'm steering by GPS. I have a regular magnetic compass and a fluxgate compass, and neither of them are cooperating.
You ever had that happen to you before?
No, I never have.
Could an erratic compass have been what happened to Flight 19 in 1945? To find out, we will send a Navy Avenger, one of only about a dozen still operable, to retrace Flight 19's path through the Bermuda Triangle.
We're all taught that from the very beginning to believe the instruments. The compass is a very reliable, very simple instrument.
Rick Siegfried is an experienced United Airlines pilot who flies around the globe in 747s. But he also flies this TBM Avenger for the Tri-State Warbird Museum in Ohio.
We're going to try to reenact the flight as best we can, not using modern navigation. We're going to use dead reckoning nav, just like they would have, back in that time. Make sure everything's secure. The stack is good and tight. Make sure there's no oil leaks coming from behind the engine.
Siegfried knows well the history and legend he is up against.
I definitely